It's very refreshing and uplifting to hear that Rishi Sunak is promising more staff to be working in the Home Office to process the backlog of asylum applications so that we will at least know what's going on and so that we will at least have the idea that there is some efficiency in that ministry, thank God. However, first of all, look at the numbers. There are 117,000 outstanding claims. There's 143,000 odd people who are waiting for a first decision. There's plenty of people who are waiting for a final decision, and some of these claims go back to 2007. That is the scale of the problem. That is what we know. I'm sure the problem is significantly worse. So when Rishi Sunak says he's promising more people to work in the Home Office, that is great. But then when you look at the headline, it says, Rishi Sunak has promised more staff to help clear the UK's backlog of asylum claims by the end of next year. And there's ambiguity there. He's promising more staff by the end of next year, or he's promising to clear this backlog by the end of next year. It is deliberately and irritatingly ambiguous. And yet again, simply by deliberately not being clear, the Home Office is evading responsibility. We have to recognise that until we use English in the way that it's intended to be used, to clarify and to make concrete statements, while we are continuing to use English to hide the reality that we are inefficient and duplicitous, we are cheapening our language and our heritage and our reputation. You know, we only have to look at the NHS. 10 years ago, this was a company, this was a ministry, this was the health service, the health ministry. The NHS was the pride of our country, was the best health service in Europe. And now it's probably fast becoming the worst, and it's got very little to do with COVID. It's got to do with the ballooning of bureaucracy and the jobs for the boys still in these top positions with wages that far exceed anything paid to a nurse or a doctor who's actually doing the work. These people pushing a pen around a piece of paper are the people who are really drawing the big salaries, and many of them have barely been to university. Not that being to university is a necessary entry point into life. There are many other entry points into life, but I think somebody who is controlling our NHS should have gone through that rite of passage and should be equipped with the skills, with the necessary skills to improve our service, not simply to manage it. I'm tired of people managing things. Managing is getting by. I remember a while ago, 20 odd years ago, when I was writing books about teaching people English, and some completely twittish publishing company had a plan. They wanted to write a book, a series of English teaching books, or they wanted me to write them and illustrate them and do all the voices. Are you paying attention? Listen and repeat. And they wanted to call it Getting By in English. Well, getting by means barely succeeding. And I pulled out as much as I could. I wanted to change the title. And without a change in title, I didn't feel I wanted to be associated with it. Getting by, barely hanging on in English. It's a funny idea now. It never came out. It never happened. But I did write a lot of English training books, English exercise books for EFL. And I quite enjoyed it, but there again, that whole industry is predicated on keeping children in a classroom. and it is certainly possible to teach English much more effectively. The basis of English is vocabulary, and clear vocabulary and simple vocabulary. Can you say something simply? Can you explain something which is complex in a simple way so an intelligent 7-year-old will understand it? Well, I think the government needs to take lessons and needs to learn how to arrange a sentence so it means what they want it to mean. In this case, I think the government is trying to be evasive. Their sentence is deliberately unclear. That is bad.